So we have Rahalel Kheradmand from Tehran, which is in Iran, and is an archaeologist with a profound interest in the ancient world. Rahalel obtained bachelor's degree in English literature in Irshad-e Damawand University before delving into the intricacies of ancient Iranian languages and culture during their master's studies and at Shahid Beheshti University in Tehran. The academic journey continued with a second master's degree in Islamic archaeology at Mazandaram, followed by a PhD in historical archaeology at Tarbiyat Madras University. Suralil has a keen passion for research, particularly in the realm of Minchim studies, ancient Iranian culture studies, and historical archaeology. So today, uh, Ralil would be presenting on the continuity of ancient Iranian culture in the poetry designs of the 3rd to 5th century. So you can unmute yourself and
Yes, thank you, thank you. I'm trying to share the screen. I hope you have the screen. Is it shared?
no, not yet.
I hope you can have my, uh, I don't know if you have my screen or not.
No, we are not able to see you either, not the screen.
Oh,
We can see you now.
yes. And do you have, you don't have my, let
You need to
me,
share your presentation.
yes, I try to share it, but I don't know if you have it or not.
I'm able to see it. I'm seeing it shared.
Oh,
Meet. I see it.
you see,
Really,
I'm
please,
not able to see.
I can see it. Please, just put it into slideshow mode and begin.
sorry?
You put it into slideshow mode, so it's full screen.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, I see it, but it would be best if it was in slideshow.
On a
Perfect.
slideshow.
Thank you.
Good, good. So, shall I start?
Yeah, sure, please.
So, thank you very much for having me in this very interesting conference. And as you said before, today I'm going to talk about the continuity of ancient Iranian culture in the pottery designs of the 3rd to 5th century AH. And as you know, during the Islamic era, due to the prohibition of against using gold and silver utensil for eating and drinking, pottery became a common substitute, and Muslim craftsmen tried to refine their art by adopting popular motifs from earlier metal utensils for their pottery decorations. My research is based on a theory which is called the cultural memory theory. And before I go to the discussing the motifs, I like to talk a little bit about the cultural memory theory. If I want to say the definition of cultural memory theory in a very easy way, I can say that cultural memory is a framework within the fields of cultural studies, history, and sociology that examines how societies remember and construct and transmit their shared past. Cultural memory suggests that our understanding of the past is somehow shaped by the cultural context in which we live, and the stories we tell about history are constructed and mediated by cultural institutions, practices, and discourses. Cultural memory posits that collective memory is not just a mere recollection of historical facts, but a socially constructed phenomenon shaped by cultural practices, rituals, and narratives. If I want to talk about the cultural memory content, we can point to this point that it is the mythical history of origins, events in an absolute past, and it's not just remembering the historical experiences or the individual biographies. The form of cultural memory is the organized, extremely formal ceremonial communications and festivals. And also the media in cultural memory, which are very important, are fixed objectifications, traditional symbolic classifications, and staging through words, pictures, dances, and every other archaeological finding. The time structure in cultural memory is very important because it's not limited to just some 3 or 4 generations. It has a vaster time at its absolute past of the mythical primeval ages, which can cover more than 3,000 years in the mind of the cultural memory. The very important point of cultural memory is the cultural memory careers that are very important, and they help that the memory remain a dynamic and influential force in shaping identities, guiding social behaviors, and fostering a sense of continuity within the society. So based on this, we can categorize them into 2 parts: the human agents and cultural artifacts. Human agents are like individuals in communities, social and cultural elites, educators, and scholars, that all of them can be known as teachers, shamans, or poets, writers, even the rulers of the society, all can be counted as human agents. And cultural artifacts, which are very important in our work, are text and literature, monuments and memorials, rituals and traditions, which are so crucial in this field, and artifacts and archaeological findings. Now I go to talk about the motifs that are decorated the pottery of the 3rd to 5th centuries after Hijra, but we should remember that the motifs and patterns depicted in Islamic pottery from the 3rd to 5th century are varied, reflecting the ancient culture and indicating the influence and continuity of Persian culture during the Islamic ages. We can divide these motifs into 2 groups, like natural motifs, such as the shapes of birds, like roosters, peacocks, or the animals such as lions, horses, fish, or plants, and also abstract motifs such as mythical creatures and geometric patterns. The very first motif that I am going to talk about is dog. The depiction of dogs on pottery from the 3rd to 5th century is notable. In Islamic culture, dogs are generally considered unclean, and despite this, the image of dogs appeared on Islamic pottery, raising the question of how a creature that deemed impure by Muslims was depicted on utensil like pottery plates during the Islamic era, and it can reflect the status of dogs among ancient Iranian culture. For Iranians, dogs were sacred and linked to Anahita, the goddess of water, and it is believed that it can join her at the source of water after death and help the soul of dead people to be guided into heavens. In Sasanian art, dogs were depicted alongside Anahita on metal vessels, as you can see here. Here, a dog is depicted next to Anahita, the goddess of water, on this vessel. Also, in Avesta, dogs are considered as important as humans and are deemed sacred. In Bondahesh, one of the holy texts for Zoroastrians, the creation of dog is mentioned in a very high place of the heavens. We call it half setare, or 7 star, and also it is said that the name of dog in Persian, which is called sag, is given to dogs because a third of its creation is like human, so they are resembled to human a lot. Dogs also are important in ancient Iranian culture in the rituals, and they can be present near the clergymen in the ceremonies of the Zoroastrians, such as Bar Shnom, which is one of the funeral ceremonies of the Zoroastrians. And the dog is next to the clergyman, and the clergyman, as they touching the left ear of a dog with his left hand, reciting some words, and they repeated it 3 times. Also, in another funeral ceremony of the Zoroastrians called Sagdid, dogs were a special dog is present there, and the body is shown to that dog, so the dog could confirm that if the person is dead or not. Despite this negative view of dogs in Islamic culture, we can see that the motif of dog remained common in pottery and decorations, and the motif of a dog with exaggerated ear among floral designs are in the pottery is the copy of what we have in the Sasanian metalworks. As you can see here, the ears of the dogs are exaggerated and the way they are portrayed are the same, and we can see that comparing the Sasanian metalwork, showcasing the influential of Sasanian art. And here dogs are depicted following the Sasanian style of depicting dogs in metalworks without considering the concept and meaning behind it. Muslim artisans copied the dog pattern without regard for the negative views about them in Muslim viewpoints, attempting to recreate a new concept for this motif while keeping the same form. Another pattern that we can talk about is the pattern of peacock, which is one of the common motifs on Neyshabur potteries, especially in Iran. We should say that although the ancient Iranian texts rarely mention about the peacocks, but surviving artifacts indicate that peacocks were considered sacred and surrounded by aura of divine glory in ancient Iranian culture. In Sasanian culture, peacock was associated again with goddess Anahita, the goddess of water, and depicted on metal wares alongside her. As you can see here in this vessel and in this plate, peacock, and here is the peacock is here, are depicted next to goddess Anahita and stayed the same as dog with her, considered with her. Also, we can see that the peacocks also somehow depicted on the textile of the Sasanian time, as you can see here. It's a piece of Sasanian textile, and they are depicted in a very holy form, and it shows the sacredness of the, let's say, peacocks. In ancient Greek and Roman culture, we can see that the peacock symbolized Persia. Aristotle, in his History of Animals, referred to peacock and rooster as Persian birds, Persicus ornis, and also in an ancient drama play, The Birds, written by Aristophanes, we can see that peacocks are mentioned as the creatures who ruled Persia a long time before the Achaemenid time and Darius. This form also transferred into Persian culture, although we can see that in the Persian culture, peacock has both positive and negative connotations. Among the Shia Muslims, we can see that peacock is the symbol of the Imam Mahdi, the 12th Imam of Shia Muslims, and he is known as the peacock of the paradise. While on the other hand, in the Islamic tradition, peacock is seen as a creature who was deceived by Satan and helped him enter paradise, leading to the temptation of Adam and Eve. Despite this negative connotation among Muslims, the frequent use of this motif on pottery of the 3rd to 5th centuries likely reflects the pre-Islamic Iranian influence of the usage of peacock. We can see that even during the time of, let's say, Islamic era, in some of the Zoroastrian temples, there was a place that they kept peacocks. So this culture, this concept of sacredness of peacock is transferred to Islamic time, and you can see its reflection on the pottery as you see here. We have the let's say picture of the peacocks in these two potteries here. The decorations of peacocks on the potteries of, especially the Neyshabur potteries, are often featuring the Sasanian palm leaf designs, especially for the tail of the peacock. I guess, as you see here, we have a triangular shape for the tail of the peacock that it reminds some of the Sasanian potteries. And also here in this form, we can see again 5 peacocks, one in middle, 4 around, depicted here. And exactly again here we have the triangular tail with some exaggerated ugly fit that reminds that two aspects of positive and negative connotation of peacock in Islamic culture. Another motif that we are going to talk about is the motif of horse and hunters. Horse are depicted on the Islamic pottery in different forms, sometimes alone, sometimes with a hunter or a rider over them, or sometimes in the form of the mythical creatures. However, we can see that again, we have the continuity of the ancient Iranian culture in this depiction. The importance of horses in ancient Iranian culture is evident in the names derived from the Persian word for horse. This is asp. In Persian, the horse was called asp or aspa, and we can find them in the names of some of the Median princes and royalties, like Aspabar, who was a Median prince, or Aspasianos, who was a Median king. Also in some of the names which are still common from the Sasanian time until now, like Lohrasp, Jamasp, Ushtasp. A part of these names are the word asp, and the interesting point is that these names are for the heroes and not simple people. Also, some of the Zoroastrian deities appear in the form of horses, such as Tishtar, the god of rain, who appears as a white horse in his battle with Apush, the demon of drought. And also Bahram, the god of war, sometimes appears as a white horse with yellow ears. Along with the other important animals, horses are counted as sacred, and it is said in Holy Book of Avesta that the horses should be buried like humans and cows after death. And also, we see in the holy texts like Aban Yasht that the horses are somehow worthy to sacrifice for gods and goddesses, and heroes, and even some villains such as Zahak and Afrasiab offers horses to Anahita as a sacrifice to help them overcome their enemies. As you can see here, we have two motifs of the potteries that horses are somehow depicted as the mythical creatures. Here is a black horse with somehow plant motifs depicted here. And also in this part, we see a horse with a tail looking like plant, which reminds the importance of horse as the life and creation. Also in Pahlavi texts, we can see that horses are mentioned as good things for the heroes. Also in Farbardin Yasht, we see that the best fish for a holy person, a Mazda worshipper, the person who worships God, is that he is blessed with a swift horse and a strong chariot. The other motive that we can discuss is the motive of the hunters or the riders. We can see that in ancient Iranian culture, riding was a heroic trait, and Iranian kings were known for their skills in hunting while mounted on a horseback. And this is depicted on the Sasanian metalware a lot, as you can see here. We have the king riding horse at the same time hunting two lions, which is a very difficult activity. And we see that the king are depicted as a noble person, a fearless warrior, wearing luxurious clothing, hats, or royal crowns, and riding noble and powerful horses. This also transferred to Islamic culture, and we can see that in the Islamic pottery, the horsemen are also depicted like what we have in Sasanian art as the hunters. And they are some noblemen from the upper classes of the society with luxurious clothes and hairstyles and breads, sometimes carrying daggers or axes, or in some cases, they're carrying a bird like falcon on their left hand. But here we have some changes. So the form is not completely transferred to Islamic art, but the artisans made some changes, as we can see that in Islamic potteries, most of the hunters are not portrayed actively hunting like in Sasanian metalware, but rather posing as a hunter. We have this motif not only on the potteries but also on the wall paintings too. This is a wall paintings on the left from the Neyshabur that we can see a huntsman or the person riding a horse in the posing of the hunters at the back of the horse, and the person is exactly a noble one. Another difference is that the writers on the Islamic pottery usually face left, while in on the Sasanian metalware they face right. So we see that here we have some changes, and we see that the Muslim artisans did not merely imitate and copy the Sassanid motifs, but rather try to update them to reflect contemporary artists and cultural trends, while still conveying the same cultural concepts. However, as you see in some cases, we observe the repetition of the same style with huntsman motifs copied from the Sasanian works. Overall, in conclusion, we can say that despite the Islamic prohibition against the luxury and the use of precious metals for everyday utensil, the cultural memory of Sasanian artistry and pre-Islamic religious symbolism persisted. The frequent appearance of motifs such as peacocks, dogs, and horses on Islamic era pottery indicates a deliberate continuation and adaptation of ancient Iranian visual and symbolic traditions. This continuity highlights the resilience of cultural memory in maintaining a sense of identity and continuity across significant religious and social changes. The blending of ancient Iranian motifs with Islamic artists' conventions resulted in a unique cultural synthesis that enriched the visual and symbolic landscape of early Islamic art in Iran. Overall, we can say that the persistence of pre-Islamic Iranian motifs in the pottery of the 3rd to 5th centuries after Hijrah underscored the enduring power of cultural memory. It illustrates how cultural identity is preserved and transmitted through artistic expressions, even in the face of profound transformation. This study contributed to a deeper understanding of the dynamics of cultural memory and the ways in which ancient cultural elements are perpetuated and reimagined in new historical and cultural contexts. Uh, I hope you guys enjoy what I say, and if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you so much for this wonderful talk. So we do have a question. It's like if any ancient Assyrian elements came through via the ancient Akkadian art into the Sasanian pottery art.
Yes, yes. This continuity we have is very clear and specific. For example, the presence of the lion in the Achaemenid art is exactly what we see in the Parthian and also Sasanian art. They are performed and depicted, and also we see this continuity into the Islamic. The point is that in ancient Iranian culture, the depiction of the holy creatures is not very common, but we have the icons. As I said, in Achaemenid era, for example, Anahita is mentioned in the text by the kings and the tablets found in Susa or the Persepolis, written by the kings, that they say that the Anahita next to Ahura Mazda helped them to make this building. And this somehow mythical concept is depicted during the Sasanian era and then referred to the Islamic part.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, I guess there are no further questions. Thank you so much for presenting today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me with you. It was my pleasure.